added some additional storage areas, some additional screen space that the townhouses are surrounding. That would also be open to the neighborhood. And then commercial flex and mixed use on the right-hand side. We're going to show you two different ways that a bubble diagram like this could lay out in terms of uses. So the first way, and I'm going to flip back and forth between them and then I'll turn it back over to Ryan. So the first way has the townhouses again up in the right-hand side. You'll see them both places. But down in the lower left, the real difference between these two, the two buildings that form an L, there you see those set up as commercial flex space. Oops. And there you see them set up as apartments. So the same amount of land can hold two different things. And the reason we're showing this to you this way is because we want to indicate that there's a lot of flexibility in these scenarios, so that as the market changes over time, as our economic cycles in a 5 to 10 year period, there's an opportunity for property owners, city, working in partnership to figure out what the most appropriate use is at the time. The challenge will be in the report is to set this up so that that flexibility remains. So those are the biggest pieces. In addition, you see that little L-shaped building just to the right of the area, the little pale yellow one.
The C-shape?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, C-shape. I clearly did not have enough caffeine today, mixing my L's and my C's. So that can also be, I think we've plugged it in as apartments, but that can also be, again, commercial flex in there. The idea that the mixed use goes back and forth. So Ryan, I'll turn it over to you again.
Yep, so the big changes here from a market perspective, fewer residential apartments than the last scenario, and you have the introduction of ownership townhomes. We have more precedent for these residential townhouses. We've spoken with brokers who have reported recent sales in Brockton in that price range, $230 to $250, obviously highly flexible. One of the themes that we heard about in meetings for both residential townhomes and for single family ownership homes was about an influx of residents from neighborhoods in Boston. Folks that have been in Dorchester or Roxbury and are looking for more space for their dollar than what they're getting in the city of Boston, especially as prices rise there. So we've heard indications that within this price range, there is a market for this type of thing, and especially in downtown, in transit-oriented spaces. Looking at the orders of magnitude here again, this, if you recall, is a little more easily financially justified than the last slide. This is just because the market is a little bit more established. It's a little lower risk when you're building these fewer units. Transit utilization is of course lower because you're situating fewer residents nearer to the train. Job creation is equally as high. Tax receipt impacts, just because of the lower density nature of a townhouse project, is lower. And you would likely be able to deal with a little shorter time runway in this scenario, just because we have seen sales take place in this price range in recent memory in Brockton. Do you want to go back into this one, or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so Emily mentioned the difference here between 2A and 2B, and again, welcome to come look in detail at the images afterwards. This is just a pivot of one of the spaces on the Court Street side of the property to residential apartments. So no changes in the pricing assumptions here, but you're just adding a little bit of housing density on the project. So a little more transit utilization, a little longer term development phasing. Okay?
Yeah.